Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the Bird's Nest Podcast. I'm Joe Donahue. Thank you so much for joining us on this final Wednesday of the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milano Cortina. Today was a day of redemption on the Alpine slopes. There was another surprising performance in the cross-country skiing competitions, and Johan Hosflat Klaue is now the only Winter Olympian with double-digit gold medals. But before we get into any of that, earlier today, I had the chance to talk with a special guest who is in Milano Cortina right now. He has held a number of roles, including as a journalist at the Sportinformationsdienst in Cologne and at the Deutscher Olympischer Sportbund. He is now the Corporate Communications and Public Affairs Director for the International Olympic Committee, Christian Klaue. Christian, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule right now to do this.
Thank you, Joe. Happy to be with you. I'm sitting here actually in the main press center in one of the meeting rooms, and it's late in the day. It's 4 o'clock. We usually start early, so I'm happy to tell you all what's going on here.
Absolutely. Now, Christian, let's start off with this. I know you like all of the sports in the games, right? You work for the IOC. You like all the sports in the games. But what's the one or the few sports that you would want to spend the most time at while you're at Milano Cortina?
Yeah, well, Joe, to be frank, I would be glad if I would manage one sport because so far I've been going to zero because I was only here in the main press center and we were working because I mean we are coming here to work and to make the games happen and to service the journalists who are here. We have more than 2,000 journalists, plus we have the photographers, plus we have the, I mean, when I talk 2,000 written press, we have the photographers, but we also have the media rights holders. So it's a big delegation and we're serving them. So they're coming to us with questions all around the clock and we are trying to answer them as quickly and as good as possible. So that's why most of the time I spend here in this building and I don't get to see sports. So zero right now, but my aim is to go to short track. And I like it because it's unpredictable.
Awesome. Yeah, short track can change very, very quickly. Definitely, I appreciate that. Sports that may not be quite as popular tend to take center stage at the Olympics. I can speak from here in the United States. The big four, obviously, are American football, and then we have baseball. Hockey, ice hockey does have a little bit of popularity here, and then basketball. But we get to see so many unique sports, unique disciplines that occur over the course of these 2 weeks every couple of years. What is it about the Olympics that causes us to pay so much attention to these sports that may not get as much attention outside of this time frame?
Joe, I would say that, the uniqueness about the games is the variety of sports, but it's also the variety and the universality of the people who come together here. At the Winter Games, we have this time athletes from 92 national Olympic committees, so 92 teams, which is a record for Winter Games. At the Summer Games, we have 206 national Olympic committees represented, which means every corner of the world is covered. There's no corner of the world which is not sending athletes, and be it one or two. So that is one part which makes the games so unique. The other part which makes the game so unique is, as you say, that you bring together all these different sports which you wouldn't see on TV or which you wouldn't read about in on websites or in newspapers these days. But during these 2.5 weeks, they get the attention of the world. And in the end, what makes it so unique is the fact that people see that even these smaller sports can be super interesting, can be super fun, and athletes are representing their nations, right? They're proud. That really makes a lot of the uniqueness of the games. And then having all the spectators from all around the world going, watching, celebrating. We have live sites here in Milano Cortina. We do have the venues being packed. To date, 1.3 million tickets were sold. So basically, right now, or since a couple of days, we are sold out. Of course, there were 1.5 million tickets available, 1.3 overall sold, which is a great number, right? And if you look ahead to LA, that's even bigger the number, much bigger the number, because of course for games in the summer, and you will have people from all parts of the world coming, athletes, spectators, but you also have people from all backgrounds coming, meaning socially. You have the ones who buy a ticket for 100 euros, and you have the ones who buy a ticket for 800 euros, and they all come together, and somehow the games are showcasing that we are somehow all equal in the world, and I think that's one secret to the success of the games.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we see that even in some of the TV reporting numbers. NBC, the rights holder here in the United States, reported a 34% increase in opening ceremony viewership from 2022, and these games are the most watched games for NBC, at least in the Winter Olympics variety, than the 2014 Sochi Games. What is it about these games specifically that's drawing so many people to Milano Cortina?
Well, of course, winter sport is very much originating from Europe, right? That's where it all started. So in other words, after a long period of not having had winter games in the heart of Europe, meaning the last ones were actually 2006 in Torino. Then in 2010, we went to Vancouver in Canada. 2014, Sochi, that was still at the outskirts of Europe, but it's not the heart of Europe anymore. Then we went 2018 to Pyeongchang in Korea, and then 2022 in Beijing. And now we are back. And this is where the fans are. And you have all these venues here in Cortina and in the mountains in particular, where you have every year world-class World Cups and events of the international federations. So in other words, the spectators are there already. They know these venues. They know that once a year they go there. Anterselva is one of these examples in biathlon, which is every year packed with 20,000 spectators for a couple of days when they have their World Cup in biathlon. And of course, it was the same this year. And I just got away from the TV where the French relay team won the gold medal, another gold medal for the French in biathlon. And the stadium, it was all over. It was packed. They were cheering. It was loud. It was just amazing to see. And that is what is so special. You went into an audience, you went into venues which existed already, which have been used for all these years. So you have a front-loaded legacy, if you want, and you can build on that legacy. So you don't need to educate. You don't need to introduce the sports. They're there. They're known by the people. And I think that is part of the success story.
Kind of even factoring into all that too is the new ways that fans around the world are able to connect in with their athletes. 1.3 billion engagements with the athletes in Milano Cortina. And there definitely seems to be a concerted effort by the athletes to try to bring fans into these games. Even one thing that stands out to me, Team USA's curling team, unfortunately did not do well in curling today. And we will talk about that later after this particular interview. But Team USA Curling's Ben Richardson is doing food reviews from the Olympic Village. And that's getting even massive engagement. And you wouldn't expect that, right? It's taking people in behind the scenes. How does the IOC support these efforts this year? And what does it say about the games that people want to engage with the games in these ways and with the athletes in these ways?
Well, what you can see, the Olympic Winter Games are stronger than ever from these numbers, from the broadcasting numbers, but also from the digital numbers. We have evolved with time. So in other words, we are giving the athletes many more opportunities, despite the rights being bought by the rights holders, by the media rights holders who televise the games and who show the games on all their different platforms, be it digital, be it linear, be it on social media. The rights holders are covering it all. So they're making sure that everybody can have access to the games. And that's also the objective of the games, to have as many, and of the IOC in particular, to have as many people as possible being able to see the games. And we have changed our rules, for instance, so that we now allow athletes to do even video from the games up to 1 hour before the competition and after the competition again, so that, they can take people and fans behind the scenes. The athletes can try to build their own brand through the games, because where can athletes really build their names and their brands? It's at the games when the world is watching. And this is our objective, to build a platform for the athletes, and the athletes can use this platform to build their own brand, to be successful in sport, and to just enjoy themselves here. And you see it. We have 2,900 athletes here. You see it from many of them. If you follow them on social media, you will not miss much.
No, you will not. No, you will not. This year's games feature several new events, including ski mountaineering. That's going to debut tomorrow. It's a completely new sport to the Winter Olympics. What goes into selecting the sports for the Olympic Games? And were there any that you were particularly excited for? I know you haven't gotten around to seeing a whole lot of them, but were there any that you were particularly excited to see make their debut on the world stage?
Well, in the Olympic Games, we have sports, we have disciplines, and we have events. Take an example. You have skiing and snowboarding. That's the sport, and that's the International Federation. And then you have the events. You have freestyle, you have PGS, parallel giant slalom in snowboard, or you have a Nordic combined, or cross country, or ski jumping. So that then would be the disciplines. And then you have events. In ski jumping, for instance, you have large hill and small hill. And we first established the sports program. So we say which international federations with their sports are making up the program for the Olympic Games. And that's in winter 7, which are the core sports programs, the core sports, I'm sorry, on the program. And then you go and look into the disciplines, and then you look into the events. So here in Milano, we have 116 events for all the different sports. And the 7, I said, is the core, but then the organizing committees of Olympic Games have the chance to suggest to the IOC for their edition of the games to bring on board 1 or 2 additional sports in winter in particular. And here in Italy, it was the Italian organizing committee, together with the National Olympic Committee, that they proposed ski mountaineering. And that's how ski mountaineering got on board. We will see if ski mountaineering will stay and what it will be in the French Alps in 2030. At the same time, we are right now reviewing the sports program and what we need to do with that, and not just the sports, but also the discipline and the event program going forward. Because, of course, the games have reached, I'd say, a limit when it comes to the size. In winter, I said it earlier, we have 2,900 athletes. That's a bit, that's almost the max we can handle. So in other words, if we want to have new sports, if we want to have younger sports, we need to decide who needs to leave in order to create the space for new sports to arrive. And that's a discussion which is always a difficult one, because telling athletes, telling international federations that their sport or their disciplines or their events will be cut is never an easy job. Therefore, we are collecting at every edition of the games, we are collecting data. So this data then helps to establish how well a sport, how well a discipline, and how well any event is performing. And based on that, you can then discuss with the international federations what you do for the next edition of the games. But to close that topic, for the French Alps, the 7 sports have been established, the same 7 sports that we have here in Milano Cortina, but no additional sport has yet been agreed on, and the disciplines need to be agreed on as well, and then further on the events. So that's the next steps going forward.
Awesome. Christian, last question for you. What should fans be looking forward to as these games enter the final days before we reach the closing ceremony on Sunday?
Well, I would say the fans in the US definitely for the final in hockey. I mean, we're not there yet, but let's assume, looking at how the US team performed so far, they will make it into the final, and it could be quite an interesting final, potentially against Canada. So I'm saying that here. I'm crossing my fingers for the American fans, but I'm also crossing my fingers for the fans from all the other teams who have to play against America before we come to Sunday's final. But I would say that's one to definitely look out for.
Absolutely, yeah. And we have the women's ice hockey final tomorrow, USA versus Canada as well. So that will be very much on the
Absolutely.
radar.
Yes, and there is a bit more going on in figure skating tonight. There are the finals of the women's figure skating competition. But there's still some great sport, and then there is the gala, the figure skating gala on, I believe, on Friday or Saturday. So there's nothing to be missed here. Oh, there's everything to be missed here. So you should be watching out and turn in.
Absolutely. Well, Christian, I'm going to let you get back to the games, but it was great talking with you again. And thank you so much for taking time to chat.
Thank you, Joe, and all the best to you, and see you soon.
See you soon. Now, as for games action, the biggest news for Team USA came in the final event of the alpine skiing competitions for these Milano Cortina games. As the alpine skiing course closed out, we had the women's slalom competition. And for Team USA, this was Mikaela Shiffrin's last chance to redeem herself from 4 years ago in Beijing. There, the three-time medalist competed in 6 different events and didn't medal in a single one of them, and not even finishing in 3 of the competitions. Shiffrin is the youngest person to win gold in slalom. She did so in the Sochi 2014 games, and she also won medals in the 2018 games in Pyeongchang. But she came into these competitions wanting gold, and she was unable to get that in any of the 2 previous competitions that she was in these games. She competed in the women's team event earlier and then missed the podium again in the giant slalom. Women's slalom is 2 runs for glory, and with her first run, she set the bar high. Shiffrin finished her first run in first place with a 47.13 second time, and her gap between first and second place after that first round was larger than the gap between second and 10th places after that first round. Setting up for her second run, things got a little bit nervous as the skier ahead of her did not finish after missing the very first gate, and definitely that raised some concerns given what we had seen from Shiffrin earlier in these games. But Shiffrin handled the course with aggression, determined to finish on the podium this time, and it showed in her final result. Shiffrin not only secured the gold medal, she did so with a combined 1 minute 39.10 second time, which was a second and a half ahead of the second place finisher, Switzerland's Camille Rost. It was the largest margin of victory in any Olympic alpine skiing event, men or women, since 1998. And it also put Shiffrin back on the podium. And while it doesn't wipe out the history of 2022, it's a comeback story for the ages, for what many consider to be the greatest of all time in women's alpine skiing. Rast's silver medal is the first medal for the Swiss women, while Sweden's Anna Sven Larsson got bronze in that competition. And as awesome as it was to see Shiffrin earn a well-deserved medal and complete her redemption story, it was not the only medal of the day. We had a shocker in the men's team sprint free final in cross-country skiing. Now, what was not a shocker? Who won gold? The Norway team, which included Einar Hedegaard and, surprise, Johan Hasflat Klaue. Klaue is now in his 10th career gold medal, and he is the only Winter Olympian to secure double-digit golds. He also has the second most gold medals in all of Olympic history, summer and winter, behind only Michael Phelps. But just behind Klaue on the final lap was Team USA, with Gus Schumacher holding his own and putting a lot of snow between himself and the rest of the field after Ben Ogden, his teammate who had already won silver in these games, got the pair into position to get to that silver medal. Team USA finished with an 18-minute, 30.35 second finish time. That was 1.37 seconds behind Norway, and it gave Team USA its second men's cross-country skiing medal of these games. It's also its third ever men's cross-country skiing medal ever. Italy finished a few seconds behind the Americans to claim the bronze. Now, the women's iteration of this event did not go quite as well for Team USA. Jessie Diggins and Julia Kern were able to move up 2 spaces in their competition from their qualifying time, but their 20-minute, 41.53 second time was just too far removed, and the pair finished 5th in the competition. Sweden finished in gold medal for the women's competition with a 20-minute, 29.99 second time, while silver went to Switzerland with a 20-minute, 31.39 second finish time. Bronze went to Germany with a 20-minute, 35.86 second time. Now, the other surprise medal for Team USA came in one American's Olympic debut. In snowboard slopestyle, both the men's and women's iterations had their finals as athletes competed for gold. 2 American women competed on the women's competition, but Jessica Perlmutter was the highest finisher and was only able to muster a 5th place finish, with 2 runs that just weren't quite good enough to get her into that top 3. New Zealand's Zoe Sadowski-Synnott was trying to defend her 2022 gold medal from the Beijing Olympics and put down a solid final run. But Japan's Mari Fukada put down a run that was just slightly better and claimed the gold medal for Japan, forcing Synnott to settle for silver. Bronze went to Japan as well, thanks to a 3rd run by Kokomo Murase. On the men's side of the competition, 3 Americans were competing for a medal: Ollie Martin, Jake Cantor, and Red Gerard. Gerard led the Americans in the 4th place post after the first runs were completed, but he was not able to improve on his score with his second 2 runs. He wound up finishing 6th. Martin was able to improve from his own first run, but he was not able to get higher than 9th place. So it was down to the Silverthorne, Colorado native, who was able to post a 79.36 with his final run, which launched him into 3rd place in the competition. Cantor actually wound up having to wait for a little while, as most of the rest of the field was still waiting to go when Cantor did his 3rd and final run, so he had to wait for the rest of the field to finish. But once the dust settled, his score was good enough for a bronze in the first ever Olympics for Jake Cantor. China's Yiming Su got the gold, while Taiga Hasegawa of Japan got the silver medal in that competition. So it was a solid 3-medal day for Team USA, but there were a few more medal events we have not yet touched on. In the women's 3,000-meter short track relay, South Korea got the gold in that competition. It was a 4-minute, 4.014 second combined finish time. Silver belongs to Italy in that competition, just about 1/10 of a second behind South Korea. Canada claimed the bronze about 2/10 of a second behind Italy. Again, very narrow margins of error for folks in speed skating competitions, whether short track or long track. In the freestyle skiing women's aerials competition, Team USA did have a couple of shots for a medal, with 2 athletes, Kayla Kuhn and Winter Vinecki, qualifying for the final. But in the one shot for glory in that competition, they could not come up with solid landings, and they wound up placing 5th and 6th, respectively. China took gold and bronze in that competition, as Mengtao Xu scored a 112.90 for gold, and Qi Xiao got a 101.9 for bronze, while Australia's Danielle Scott scored a 102.17, and that was good enough to break up what could have been a Chinese sweep of the podium, claiming silver for Australia. Lastly, in the men's short track 500 meter, local speed skater Andrew Hia was knocked out in the quarterfinal round. But we did have a pair of brothers skating in the final. Melle and Jens van 't Voet were vying for gold alongside their Dutch teammate Toon Boer. 2 Canadians, Steven Dubois and the heavyweight William Dongenou, tried to rain on the Van Voot's hopes for a brother-on-brother situation on the podium as well as Jens van Voot's hopes for a triple crown of gold medals in short track speed skating. In the final race, Danjanu was called for a penalty and disqualified, but Dubois finished in first anyway, with Melle claiming silver and Jens claiming bronze. And that was what the two Van Voot brothers wanted anyway. That was what they were hoping for. And it's always cool to see two family members sharing the same podium together. So with that, here's the medal table after day 12 of competition. Team USA got 3 medals today, including its 7th gold medal. It sits in 3rd now on the medal table. Norway's pretty safely in the lead at this point, followed by the host country of Italy. Now on to those other competitions, and I alluded to this earlier, but men's curling is effectively done for Team USA. The American men's team got pummeled by Great Britain, falling behind 6-0 after 3 ends. Team USA was able to narrow the lead to 6-2 in the 5th end, but in the very next end, Great Britain scored 3 points to go up 9-2. The Americans wound up conceding the game after this point. The men's team is now 4-5, and while the official release from Team USA indicated that they were not mathematically eliminated yet, they need a lot of help from Italy and Norway, who still have 1 game left to play to make the final, and I don't think that help is coming from either of those two teams. For the women, they lost their own matchup to Great Britain in a back-and-forth matchup, with the Americans taking a 7-4 lead, but Great Britain coming back in the final 2 ends to steal the 8-7 victory. The Americans are in a win-and-in game tomorrow against Switzerland, so we will definitely see how that pans out for the women's curling team. Lastly for today, we have men's ice hockey. Team USA played Sweden in the quarterfinal, and there's actually a really touching Philly connection with this team. Team USA has former Columbus Blue Jackets player and South Jersey native Johnny Gaudreau's jersey with them in the locker room. Now, if that name sounds familiar to you, that's probably because you were paying a little bit of attention to a story that was circulating throughout hockey circles, as well as throughout the Philly sports world in 2024, when Gaudreau and his brother Matthew were killed by a drunk driver in South Jersey. And it prompted a massive response, a massive outpouring of support for the Gaudreau family by Philly sports in the area, as well as by really all of the NHL. So it was a really, really heartbreaking situation that prompted that outpouring of support. And Team USA honors Gaudreau in these particular Olympic Games with his jersey in their locker room. So it was a nice little tribute. Now, as for the game itself, the first 30 minutes of the game, so all of the first period and the first half of the second period, was a 0-0 tie for the Americans against the all-NHL roster team from Sweden. It took until 8 minutes and 57 seconds left in the game for any scoring to occur. And fortunately, it was from Team USA, who ran a really well-executed play after getting control of the faceoff, and they were able to get a 1-0 score with a good portion of time left in the game. But with the defensive play that was happening over the course of this game, it was going to hold for a while. That was until Sweden got an extra shooter goal situation with a few minutes left in the game. Sweden was able to tie it up 1-1, and that sent the game into overtime. Overtime in the Olympics is 3-on-3 with a 10-minute sudden death overtime period, and 3 minutes and 27 seconds into that sudden death overtime period, Quinn Hughes delivered the slapshot goal to send Team USA to the semifinals. Team USA faces Slovakia on Friday in that round, while Canada plays Finland after both of those teams won in overtime. This is the first time in Olympic history that 3 Olympic hockey games went into overtime. And that was definitely a fun day to watch hockey if you're a hockey fan. So with day 12 in the books, what's on tap for day 13? Well, as I mentioned earlier, we have Team USA's women's hockey team going for gold against Canada. USA forward Hillary Knight announced that this is going to be her final Olympics. So will she be part of the team going to bring home gold for the United States? We'll see what happens tomorrow. Also tomorrow, we'll see the return of Jordan Stolz, who will be back on the ice for the men's 1500-meter race. Will the fastest man on ice keep up his unbeaten streak and get the gold medal triple crown in these Olympics? We shall find out. And of course, tomorrow evening is the women's free skate competition, and we will see whether or not Alyssa Liu is able to end one of the longest droughts in U.S. Olympic history, trying to bring home gold for Team USA in the women's figure skating competition. But let me know what you think in the comments below. What were your thoughts about today's Olympic action? What are you looking forward to as the Games moves into its final Thursday of these Milano Cortina Games? Let me know. And thank you so much to everyone for tuning in to the Bird's Nest Podcast. You can support the Bird's Nest Podcast by liking and subscribing to Bird's Nest Media right here on YouTube, as well as by sharing to your social media pages. You can also find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, the Odyssey app, and iHeartRadio, pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts. Please visit birdsnestmedia.com for additional Eagles, NFL, and Olympic coverage, and this is where you can also subscribe to our Substack to get updates emailed directly to you. And if you feel so inclined to support us in a different way, you can find the link to our Patreon in the description below or at birdsnestmedia.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's go Eagles, and let's go Team USA.